All right, so Gary Chambers is a progressive candidate running for a Senate seat down in the state of Louisiana, and this guy is one of my absolutely favorite candidates that I've seen in a long time, and you're going to see why because of this new campaign ad that he just put out. And in this campaign ad, as you can see from the article here, he is ripping a fat blunt. So this is absolutely amazing, trying to get across his pro-marijuana advocacy in his campaign. So let's just go ahead and watch this clip, and then I'll give you guys my thoughts on it.
Every 37 seconds, someone is arrested for possession of marijuana. Since 2010, state and local police have arrested an estimated 7.3 million Americans for violating marijuana laws, over half of all drug arrests. Black people are 4 times more likely to be arrested for marijuana laws than white people. States waste $3.7 billion enforcing marijuana laws every year. Most of the people police are arresting aren't dealers, but rather people with small amounts of pot, just like me. I'm Gary Chambers, and I'm running for the U.S. Senate, and I approve this message.
All right, so first of all, just absolute boss man shit there, okay? To literally put yourself smoking a fat, I don't know if that's a backwood or what he actually rolled this with, but just smoking a fat blunt on camera, not afraid, okay? So in the city that he recorded this in New Orleans, it is like decriminalized, but it's still not fully legalized in Louisiana, and it still fully isn't legalized around the country at a federal level, which is something that, just as a reminder, Joe Biden could unilaterally do from his position as the president. Obviously, being a massive drug warrior himself, I don't anticipate that Joe Biden is actually going to do that, which is exactly why we need guys like Gary Chambers to be in the Senate trying to put pressure on this issue to make sure that we not only legalize marijuana fully, and also on top of that to free all nonviolent drug offenders, as he was pointing out there, using a lot of those statistics, because it's not just about, you know, a freedom issue of having the right to use a drug that does not do any serious damage to your body. It doesn't really affect others in a negative way. It's less dangerous than even alcohol, which is fully legalized, and significantly less dangerous than cigarettes, which are also fully legalized. It's not just about a freedom issue. It's also, as he pointed out in that campaign ad in a very effective way that I think could even appeal to more like right-leaning people within the state, it's also on top of being just a freedom issue, it's also an issue of racial justice. It's also an issue of economics, because not only are you losing out on the potential economic boom of having a marijuana industry within your state, but on top of that, you're also losing money because you're spending all of this money throwing people in jail for nonviolent drug offenders that don't solve any problems whatsoever and only seek to create this pattern within our broken criminal justice system that he's trying to talk to right there. So I think he's absolutely right on the policy, and I think he's absolutely right on the messaging on top of that in a state like Louisiana, where it is going to be pretty hard for him to take this seat, right? This current seat that he's running for is held by a Republican, and so, you know, it's going to be a difficult run, but this is the type of thing that you can do to set yourself apart from the crowd and really put yourself out there. So credit to him for doing this, absolute boss man shit, and I hope that we see more like this. You're gonna see at the end of this video that I'm gonna put his campaign down in the description below if you want to go look more into him. But you can also see here from the subheader that it's not just marijuana legalization. This dude is very solid on the policies across the board. Gary Chambers is running to unseat Republican John Kennedy on a platform centered around cannabis legalization, economic aid, voting rights, and Medicare for all. So all of those are great things that I think are pretty solid strategies for winning an actual election. It's pretty much exactly what me on this channel and other leftists are calling for on a regular basis, for people to, you know, be bold and be unafraid about putting your policy agenda first and foremost and doing it in a way like that attracts attention. But on top of that, you know, it's also just something that is overwhelmingly supported by the majority of Americans. This goes pretty much across the board. It goes for a majority of Democrats, a majority of Republicans, a majority of independents. So, you know, if you want a bipartisan issue, this is basically like as close as you can get as a bipartisan agreement right now. The overwhelming majority of the country, I mean, listen, fewer than 10% of US adults say that marijuana should not be legal at all. Okay, so you were talking about an extreme minority who would be offended by something like this. So I think that it's politically smart on top of everything else. Obviously, he's also right on the science of this. As I said, marijuana is not only less dangerous than alcohol and cigarettes, which are legal, but on top of that, it has potentially great medicinal benefits to people who have like PTSD and depression and anxiety. It's something that has been proven, and we still need more research to be done on this, which is part of the problem of it being criminalized in the first place, is you can't do the same amount of research that you otherwise would be able to. But according to the research that we do have as of right now, it can also be extremely beneficial, okay? Not just a net neutral in that way, but again, can help with PTSD, depression, anxiety, etc. But on top of that, I mean, you also just should be able to light up a fat blunt like he was just doing right there and just smoke it, because because we should be able to do that at the end of the day. Just like you could go home and after a long day's work go and have like a glass of wine or whatever, you should also be able to do that with rolling up and smoking a fat blunt. But on top of this is actually some new information that just came out recently on January 13th, 2022, and I guess they're going to have to do more studies on this, but I thought it was interesting that cannabis compounds may prevent coronavirus infection, or at least greatly reduce your chances of getting a COVID infection. So that's interesting as well, on top of the mental health benefits that come along with marijuana and legalizing that at a federal level. So just to give you more perspective in terms of this actual election and what you can go do to support this guy. So just a little bit of information on how this election is going to play out. Louisiana has some weird election laws. So voters in Louisiana will elect one member to the U.S. Senate in the general election on December 10th, and the primary is scheduled for November 8th, and the filing deadline July 22nd. So those are the key dates right there, November 8th and December 10th. So if you live in Louisiana, go show up and vote for this guy. And they say that Louisiana elections use the Louisiana majority vote system. So all candidates compete in the same primary, and a candidate can win the election outright by receiving more than 50% of the vote. But if no candidate does, the top two vote recipients from the primary advance to the general election, regardless of their partisan affiliation. So it doesn't look like it's going to be this exact, you have a Democratic primary and a Republican primary. So it's even more important, because of how this election is going to happen, that if you live in the state of Louisiana, you show up for this guy in the first election results, because he has to at least come in the top two positions to then be in that runoff election. So make sure that this guy gets in those top two positions so we can actually see him at the final election, which is again going to be on around December 10th. So that's just a little bit of information on how this election is going to play out. And again, like I said, I'm going to put his entire campaign in my description below so you guys can go and check him out. He has another great ad that he put out recently that I just watched that was even better than the marijuana one, where he touches on the entirety of his platform. So again, go support this guy, Gary Chambers, from everything that I can see. And I'm not usually a guy who, likes to go out there and advocate for electoralism or going out there and supporting specific politicians as our saviors. But this guy seems like he is very solid on the policy, and even more so on the messaging and getting himself out there. So I want to bring this to your attention, and go look more into him and see if you guys want to support him, and do whatever you can, because we need guys like Gary Chamber to be in the U.S. Senate.